Lieutenant Kate Morgan stood at the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, her eyes fixed on the strange vessel that had appeared near Mars. Its crystalline structure gleamed in the sunlight, unlike anything humans had ever built. The ship's sudden arrival had sent Earth's military into high alert, but its peaceful broadcast in multiple Earth languages had prevented immediate conflict. Kate had been chosen as humanity's representative due to her diplomatic background and calm demeanor. As she prepared to board the shuttle that would take her to the neutral meeting point, she couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The fate of humanity's first contact rested partially in her hands. The alien vessel, which identified itself as belonging to the Galactic Council, had requested a peaceful meeting. The ship's name translated roughly to Starlight Messenger in English. As Kate's shuttle approached, she observed more details of the alien craft. It seemed almost alive, with surfaces that shifted colors like the northern lights. Inside the designated meeting chamber, Kate came face to face with the alien representatives. The primary diplomat, who called himself Zextal, resembled a tall, slender humanoid with iridescent skin and large, expressive eyes. His movements were graceful but cautious, as if the standard Earth normal gravity and atmosphere in the chamber made him uncomfortable. "We greet you, representative of Earth," Zextal spoke through a translation device. "We have long observed your world from afar, but recent developments in your space technology have made contact necessary." Kate maintained her professional composure despite her amazement. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, we welcome peaceful contact with the Galactic Council." The meeting progressed smoothly until Zextal asked about human origins. When Kate confirmed that humans had evolved on Earth, the alien's color changed dramatically. A reaction she would later learn indicated extreme shock. "This cannot be possible," Zextal said, his translator struggling to convey his agitation. "Earth is classified in our records as a Class 13 environment. No sentient species has ever evolved in such conditions." Kate noticed the other alien representatives moving away slightly. "I don't understand," she said. "What exactly is a Class 13 environment?" Zextal pulled up a holographic display showing various planets. Most civilized species evolved on Class 3 worlds or lower. These are planets with stable environments, minimal predators, and predictable weather patterns. He highlighted Earth. "Your world, your Earth, has been marked in our records for millions of years as extremely hazardous." Kate listened as Zextal listed Earth's deadly characteristics: multiple apex predators, extreme temperature variations, high gravity, intense solar radiation, powerful storms, and volatile geology. What humans considered normal living conditions, the galactic community viewed as nearly unsurvivable. The revelation sparked intense discussion among the alien representatives. They spoke rapidly in their native language, their skin colors shifting through various patterns. Kate noticed their environmental suits seemed more robust than necessary for the meeting room's conditions. "Your species' ability to survive in such conditions is unprecedented," Zextal finally said. "This changes many things. The Council will need to reevaluate humanity's potential role in the galactic community." As the meeting concluded, Kate realized humanity had just gained an unexpected advantage. What humans considered everyday survival had apparently made them uniquely capable among the stars. The aliens' reaction to Earth's classification suggested that humanity's normal was other species' nightmare. Back on the orbital station, Kate began preparing her report for Earth's leaders. The implications were staggering. Humans were essentially super beings by galactic standards, adapted to conditions that most species considered impossible to survive. "Send a priority message to command," she told her aide. "Tell them we need to approach this carefully. We don't want to frighten our new allies, but we need to understand exactly what this classification means for Earth's future in the galaxy." As she watched the alien ship depart, Kate smiled slightly. Humanity had worried about being the technological inferiors in first contact. Instead, they had discovered that their very nature, their strength, endurance, and adaptability, made them exceptional among the stars. The real challenge now would be proving they could be trusted with such capabilities. The next few days would bring more revelations, but for now, Kate focused on documenting every detail of this historic encounter. Humanity's place in the galaxy would never be the same, all because of their homeworld's deadly reputation. The Galactic Council's diplomatic vessel returned to Earth's orbit 3 days later, this time carrying a full delegation of xenobiologists and environmental specialists. Dr. Adam Clark sat in the briefing room of the International Space Station, studying the holographic display that detailed the galactic classification system for habitable worlds. The alien scientist, a being named Vixra, moved her delicate fingers through the display, explaining the categories. Class 1 through 3 worlds are considered ideal for life. Most council species emerged from these environments. She shifted the display to show harsher worlds. Class 4 through 8 are challenging but still support some forms of complex life. When she reached Earth's classification, the room grew quiet. Class 13 worlds are considered essentially uninhabitable by our standards. Your planet has active tectonic plates, extreme weather patterns, and a host of organisms that would be classified as apex predators on any other world. Lieutenant Kate Morgan, who had handled the first contact, watched the other human representatives' reactions. Some seemed proud, others concerned. She noticed that even in the controlled environment of the space station, the alien delegates wore environmental suits. Your species regularly survives conditions that would kill most sentient beings, Vixra continued. You endure temperature variations that span over 100 of your degrees Celsius. You can survive radiation levels that would be fatal to most species. Your bodies can process foods that would be toxic to others. One of the human scientists spoke up. But these are normal conditions for us. We've evolved alongside these challenges. Vixra's translator conveyed what seemed like a mixture of awe and fear. That is precisely what terrifies many council species. Your bodies have adapted to heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. You can survive in almost any environment with minimal protection. Even your children would be considered incredibly durable by our standards. The meeting continued as the aliens shared more details about the classification system. Earth's gravity alone was nearly double that of most inhabited worlds. The atmospheric pressure and oxygen content were far above what most species considered safe. Even Earth's bacteria and viruses were remarkably aggressive compared to those found elsewhere. Your immune systems, another alien scientist named Kreltor added, are extraordinarily robust. You live in constant contact with millions of microscopic organisms that would cause devastating plagues on other worlds. Dr. Clark took notes rapidly, his mind racing with the implications. This explains why your environmental suits are so extensive. What we consider a comfortable room must seem like a death trap to you. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably at his observation. Indeed, Vixra confirmed. The gravity alone in this room is at the edge of what our suits can compensate for. The oxygen levels here would be toxic to us without filtration. Kate watched as the alien scientists displayed more data about Earth's unique characteristics. The planet's magnetic field, while essential for human survival, was unusually powerful. The regular occurrence of storms, earthquakes, and other natural disasters was far beyond anything seen on civilized worlds. Your cities, Kreltor noted, are built to withstand conditions that would destroy most of our structures. You build in zones we would consider disaster areas. You mine resources from active volcanic regions. You dive into your high-pressure oceans for recreation. The implications of Earth's classification began to sink in for the human representatives. Their perceived weakness, being a young species new to space travel, was balanced by their incredible physical capabilities. What they had taken for granted as normal survival traits were actually extraordinary advantages. We need to proceed carefully with this information, Kate suggested. The last thing we want is to cause panic among other species. The alien delegates agreed. Earth's classification as a Class 13 world would have significant implications for humanity's role in the galactic community. Their natural abilities would make them invaluable for certain tasks, but could also make them seem threatening to other species. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Clark gathered his notes, his mind already working on how to study these revelations further. The classification had revealed something profound. Humans weren't just space travelers anymore. They were survivors of one of the most challenging worlds known to the galaxy, and that fact would shape their entire future among the stars. Dr. Adam Clark sat in his newly established laboratory at the International Science Exchange Center, carefully examining cellular samples under a microscope. The room was filled with both human and alien scientific equipment, creating an unusual blend of familiar and otherworldly technology. Working alongside him, the alien biologist Vixra studied human tissue samples with evident fascination. Her environmental suit hummed quietly as she moved around the lab, her movements careful in Earth's heavy gravity. They had been working together for 2 weeks, trying to understand the biological differences between humans and other sentient species. "Look at this," Dr. Clark called out, pointing to his display screen. "The density of human muscle fiber is remarkably different from the samples you provided from other species." He adjusted the magnification, revealing the complex structure of human muscle tissue. Vixra moved closer, her large eyes widening behind her protective visor. "The efficiency of your cellular energy production is extraordinary. Your mitochondrial density and function exceed anything we've documented in other species." Their research had revealed surprising findings. Human bones were significantly denser than those of other spacefaring races. The human nervous system could process pain and heal from injury at rates that seemed impossible to their alien colleagues. Even human skin, with its ability to repair and adapt to different conditions, was remarkably resilient by galactic standards. "Your species developed these traits through natural selection," Vixra noted, her voice filled with wonder. "The harsh conditions of Earth forced your ancestors to adapt or perish. Each generation survived increasingly challenging conditions." Dr. Clark nodded, reviewing their compiled data. "Our endurance capabilities seem particularly interesting to the Council. The fact that humans can continue physical activity for hours, even days, seems to frighten some of your people." The research team had documented how humans could maintain consciousness and function in extreme conditions that would incapacitate other species. Their ability to regulate body temperature, resist various toxins, and recover from injuries had proven remarkable. "Most concerning to the Council," Vixra added, "is your species' psychological resilience. You not only survive in conditions we consider horrific, but you often seek out challenges and dangerous situations voluntarily." They were interrupted by the arrival of new tissue samples from various human populations. Each sample demonstrated similar extraordinary capabilities, regardless of the individual's origin. The human capacity for survival wasn't limited to a select few. It was a species-wide trait. Dr. Clark began analyzing the new samples, noting how human cellular structures were reinforced compared to alien samples. "Our bones don't just support us against Earth's gravity," he explained. "They're designed to withstand impacts and stress that would shatter the bones of other species." Vixra moved to another workstation, examining human blood samples. "Your blood's ability to carry oxygen is remarkable. Combined with your cardiovascular system, it allows you to function in conditions that would suffocate most species." The implications of their research grew more significant with each discovery. Humans weren't just tough. They were biological marvels shaped by millions of years of survival on a world that should have been too harsh for complex life. "We need to prepare this data for the Council meeting next week," Dr. Clark said, organizing their findings. "But we should present it carefully. We don't want to cause unnecessary alarm." Vixra agreed, her skin changing color slightly, a sign of concern in her species. "Perhaps we should focus on how these adaptations make humans ideal for exploration and rescue operations. Your abilities could save many lives in environments too dangerous for other species." As they compiled their research, Dr. Clark reflected on how their findings would impact humanity's future in the galaxy. Their biological advantages were both a gift and a responsibility. Other species might fear them, but they could also be invaluable allies in dangerous situations. The laboratory lights dimmed slightly as evening approached, but neither scientist noticed. They were too absorbed in their work, documenting the remarkable story of how Earth's deadly nature had created a species uniquely suited to survive among the stars. Their research would help shape humanity's role in the galactic community, turning what might have been fear into understanding and respect. Commander Steve Russell paced in the military briefing room of the newly established Earth Defense Command, studying the holographic displays showing various planetary environments. Each image represented a world where other species required extensive protective equipment just to survive briefly. Yet, according to their simulations, humans could operate in these environments with minimal protection. Our advantages are clear, he explained to the assembled military leaders from various Earth nations. While other species need complex environmental suits for most operations, our troops can function effectively with basic protective gear. The room displayed footage from recent joint training exercises with alien peacekeeping forces. In environments considered moderately hazardous by galactic standards, alien troops moved slowly and cautiously in their bulky environmental suits. In contrast, human soldiers maintain nearly full mobility and combat effectiveness. The Galactic Council has requested our assistance in several upcoming peacekeeping operations, Steve continued, pointing to specific trouble spots in the displayed star map. These missions involve environments that their regular forces find extremely challenging. Colonel Ashley White, head of Special Operations, stepped forward to share her insights. We've already demonstrated our capabilities in the Mars training grounds. What they consider extreme conditions are similar to what our troops face in Earth's harshest environments. The footage shifted to show human soldiers easily navigating terrain that resembled Earth's desert and Arctic regions. These environments, while challenging, were well within human operational parameters. Their alien allies watched these demonstrations with a mixture of awe and unease. The Council is particularly interested in our search and rescue capabilities, Steve noted. Our troops can enter hazardous environments quickly, without waiting for complex environmental systems to be established. The implications were significant. Human military forces could operate in conditions that would require extensive support systems for other species. This made them ideal for rapid response situations and operations in hostile environments. However, Ashley cautioned, we need to be mindful of how we present these capabilities. Some Council species are already nervous about our physical advantages. We don't want to appear threatening. The discussion turned to the development of new training programs. They needed to prepare their forces for operations alongside alien allies while being careful not to intimidate them. It was a delicate balance between demonstrating capability and maintaining diplomatic relations. We're establishing joint training facilities on Mars, Steve explained. The environment there is actually more challenging than many inhabited worlds, making it perfect for preparing both our forces and our allies for joint operations. The meeting continued with discussions about equipment modifications. Human military gear, designed for Earth's harsh conditions, often exceeded the requirements for operations on other worlds. They needed to ensure their equipment was compatible with alien systems while maintaining their operational advantages. Our biggest challenge isn't technical, Ashley pointed out. It's psychological. We need to help our allies understand that our capabilities make us valuable partners, not potential threats. The commanders reviewed reports from the first joint exercises. Alien troops had initially been hesitant to work closely with humans, intimidated by their physical capabilities. However, after seeing humans use their abilities to assist and protect others, attitudes had begun to shift. We're positioning ourselves as guardians, Steve said, not conquerors. Our ability to operate in extreme conditions makes us ideal for humanitarian missions and disaster response. The meeting concluded with the approval of new training protocols and equipment specifications. They would focus on developing Earth's forces as an elite rescue and response unit within the galactic community, turning their frightening capabilities into a force for good. As the other officers filed out, Steve stayed behind, studying the galactic map. Humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage hadn't gone as anyone expected. Instead of struggling to catch up technologically, they had found their strength in their very nature, their ability to survive and operate in conditions that other species found terrifying. He smiled slightly, thinking about the irony. Earth's harsh environment, long considered a disadvantage, had created the perfect peacekeepers for a dangerous galaxy. Now they just had to prove they could be trusted with that role. The emergency alert echoed through Earth Defense Command as reports flooded in about the Krathak attacks. Colonel Mary Peterson rushed into the command center, her face grim as she studied the incoming data. The hostile alien species had struck 3 peaceful worlds simultaneously, targeting settlements and resource centers. The Krathak chose their targets well, Mary observed, examining the holographic display. All 3 worlds have environmental conditions that severely limit the response capabilities of standard Galactic Council forces. The first world, Nexus Prime, was plagued by constant electrical storms and high atmospheric pressure. The second, Theris 3, featured toxic atmospheric compounds and extreme temperature variations. The third, Velara, was a volcanic world with caustic rain and unstable tectonic activity. Council forces are struggling to mount an effective defense, Lieutenant Ryan Baker reported, updating the tactical display. Their environmental protection systems can't handle extended exposure to these conditions. The Krathak are using this limitation to their advantage. Mary watched the incoming footage from Nexus Prime. Council peacekeepers were retreating from the harsh conditions, their environmental suits failing under the planet's punishing storms. The Krathak, protected by their advanced battle armor, were pressing their advantage. Earth's forces are the only ones capable of operating effectively in these environments, she stated, turning to address her staff. Our troops can function with minimal protection where others cannot. We're these worlds' best chance for survival. Emergency requests for aid arrived from the Galactic Council. Their forces were being overwhelmed, unable to maintain defensive positions in the hostile conditions. Civilian populations were at risk, trapped in failing environmental shelters. Direct the First Response Battalion to Nexus Prime, Mary ordered. Their storm training in the Midwest will serve them well there. Send the 3rd Mountain Division to Theris 3. They're experienced with toxic environments from their volcanic training. The command center burst into activity as orders were relayed and troops mobilized. Human forces, equipped with their relatively simple protective gear, prepared for immediate deployment. Their equipment, designed for Earth's challenging conditions, was more than adequate for the task. Velara is the most critical, Ryan noted. The Krathak are targeting the main population center. The environmental conditions there are deteriorating rapidly. Mary nodded grimly. Send in the 5th Special Operations Group. They've trained extensively in volcanic regions. They can handle the conditions and reach the civilians before the shelters fail. Reports began coming in from the first human units to arrive on Nexus Prime. Where Council forces had struggled, human troops moved efficiently through the electrical storms. Their natural endurance and adapted equipment allowed them to engage the surprised Krathak forces effectively. The Krathak didn't expect opposition that could function in these conditions, Mary observed, watching the tactical feeds. They thought the environments would keep other forces at bay. On Theris 3, human forces were already evacuating civilians from failing shelters. Their ability to operate in the toxic atmosphere with lightweight protection gave them a significant advantage. The Krathak, expecting an easy victory, found themselves facing an enemy that wasn't hindered by the harsh conditions. Velara team reporting success, Ryan announced. They've reached the main shelter complex. The Krathak are pulling back. They weren't prepared for direct confrontation in the volcanic zones. Mary allowed herself a small smile. Earth's forces were turning the tide, not through superior technology or numbers, but through their ability to function in conditions that other species found nearly impossible to endure. The Council representatives are requesting immediate conference, an aide reported. They're shocked by our forces' effectiveness in these environments. Tell them we're just getting started, Mary replied, studying the updated battle reports. These conditions are nothing compared to what our troops train for on Earth. As more human forces deployed to the affected worlds, Mary reflected on how Earth's deadly reputation had become its greatest military asset. Their troops weren't just fighting. They were showing the galaxy that humanity's harsh evolution had created protectors capable of operating where others could not. The Krethak's advantage had become their weakness, all because they hadn't counted on facing soldiers from a Class 13 world. Major John Cooper surveyed the toxic swamplands of Theris III through his lightweight breathing mask. Operation Thunderstorm was in full swing, with human special forces teams deployed across multiple hostile worlds. The murky atmosphere, lethal to most species, posed only a minor inconvenience to his troops. Alpha Team, move up through the eastern sector, he commanded through the comm system. The Krethak don't expect anyone to operate in these conditions. Use that to our advantage. His soldiers moved with practiced ease through the hazardous terrain. Their basic protective gear was a stark contrast to the heavy environmental suits required by other species. Years of training in Earth's most challenging environments had prepared them for exactly this type of operation. "Sir, we've located their forward base," Sergeant Amy Davis reported. "They've set up in an area with highest toxicity levels, thinking it would provide natural protection." John smiled grimly. What the Krethak considered an impenetrable natural barrier was just another day at work for Earth's special forces. His team had trained in environments far more dangerous than this. Beta Team reporting from the volcanic sector. Lieutenant Paul Wright's voice crackled over the comm. "We've breached their perimeter. They never expected ground forces to reach this position." The operation was proceeding similarly on other worlds. Human forces moved through environments that would kill most species in minutes, outflanking and overwhelming the surprised Krethak forces. Their enemy had based their entire strategy on the assumption that these conditions would keep them safe from ground attacks. "Multiple Krethak units retreating from the northern quadrant," Amy reported. "They're abandoning their heavy equipment. The terrain's too unstable for their vehicles." John watched through his tactical display as human forces pushed forward across all sectors. Their ability to operate in these conditions had completely disrupted the Krethak battle plans. Where other species needed complex environmental systems, humans could move quickly with minimal support. "All teams, press the advantage," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup. They can't move their heavy equipment through this terrain as easily as we can." The battle continued across the toxic landscape. Human soldiers navigated through poisonous mists and corrosive terrain that would have stopped any other military force. Their natural endurance and adaptability, combined with their experience in Earth's harsh environments, made them unstoppable in these conditions. "Sir, Galactic Council observers are requesting permission to document our operations," Hall reported. "They can't believe what they're seeing." "Grant them access to the secure feeds," John replied. "Let them see what Earth's forces can do. But remind them to stay in their protected zones. This environment would kill them instantly." The operation continued through what passed for night on Theris III. While other forces would have needed to halt operations due to the deteriorating conditions, human troops pressed on. Their natural night vision and ability to function in extreme conditions kept them effective even in darkness. "Main Krethak base located," Amy announced. "They've fortified and positioned in the most toxic region of the swamps. They believe it's unreachable." John studied the tactical display. The Krethak had chosen their position well, by normal galactic standards. But they hadn't counted on facing soldiers from Earth, where training regularly took place in environments just as deadly. "All teams, converge on the main base," he ordered. "Show them what humans from a Class 13 world can do." The final assault proved decisive. Human forces approached from multiple directions, moving through terrain that the Krethak had considered a perfect natural defense. The enemy's shock at seeing troops emerge from the toxic mists led to a rapid collapse of their defenses. As the operation concluded, John stood watching his troops secure the captured base. The Krethak's surrender had been quick once they realized they faced an enemy that could reach them anywhere. Their careful plans, based on using hostile environments as protection, had been undone by humanity's unique capabilities. "Prepare for extraction," he commanded. "And someone tell those council observers they can stop watching in disbelief. This is just what we do." Operation Thunderstorm had demonstrated something important to the galaxy. Humans weren't just capable of surviving in deadly conditions. They could turn those conditions into a tactical advantage that no other species could match. Lisa Martinez stood before the assembled Galactic Council, her presence as Earth's first High Representative, marking a historic moment. The Grand Chamber, designed to accommodate multiple species, reflected the diversity of galactic civilization. Yet all eyes were fixed on the human who had helped reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. "The recent crisis has shown us something remarkable," she addressed the council. "What we once saw as barriers between species can become bridges. Earth's unique nature, which initially caused fear, has proven to be a gift to the entire galactic community." The chamber displayed highlights from the past months. Human forces conducting rescue operations on worlds too dangerous for other species, Earth scientists developing new protective technologies, and joint training programs where humans helped other species adapt to challenging environments. "We are not just survivors of a Class 13 world," Lisa continued. "We are protectors, explorers, and teachers. Our strength comes with a responsibility to help others face challenges we naturally overcome." The council members, once fearful of humanity's capabilities, now viewed them differently. The Krathak conflict had demonstrated that humans could be trusted with their remarkable abilities. Their forces had liberated occupied worlds, but had shown restraint and compassion even in victory. "Earth is establishing training centers across the galaxy," she explained. "We will teach other species how to survive in conditions they once thought impossible. Our experience on Earth has given us knowledge that can benefit everyone." The changes were already visible. Human environmental adaptation techniques were being studied and modified for other species. Earth's methods of building resilient structures and communities were being applied on worlds facing natural disasters. What had started as fear of the Deathworlders had transformed into respect for their knowledge. The Galactic University of Environmental Sciences will open next month on Mars, Lisa announced. There, students from all species will learn from Earth's experts about survival, adaptation, and resilience. The council chamber hummed with approval. Humanity's integration into galactic society had exceeded all expectations. Their natural abilities, rather than causing division, had become a foundation for cooperation and progress. "We also established the Interstellar Emergency Response Force," she continued. "Human teams will work alongside other species, sharing our expertise in handling extreme conditions. No populated world should face disaster alone." Reports from across the galaxy showed the impact of these initiatives. Human advisors were helping colonies prepare for environmental challenges. Earth's atmospheric scientists were developing new methods to terraform hostile worlds. Their experience with Earth's various climates proved invaluable in understanding other planets. "Our classification as a Class 13 world is no longer a warning label," Lisa stated. "It's a reminder that life can flourish in the most challenging conditions, and that strength can be used to protect rather than dominate." The chamber's displays showed images from joint military exercises, where human instructors taught other species how to operate in harsh conditions. The fear of humanity's capabilities had been replaced by eagerness to learn from them. "We propose expanding the galactic classification system," she suggested. "Instead of just warning about dangers, it should include information about opportunities. Every challenging world holds lessons that can benefit us all." The Council's response was overwhelmingly positive. Humanity had proven themselves not just capable survivors, but valuable allies. Their unique perspective on surviving hostile conditions had opened new possibilities for expansion and development throughout the galaxy. "As we move forward," Lisa concluded, "Earth stands ready to help build a stronger, more resilient galactic community. Our experience as Deathworlders has taught us that the greatest challenges often lead to the most remarkable achievements." The chamber erupted in approval. The transformation was complete. From feared newcomers to respected leaders in the galactic community, Earth's deadly reputation had become its greatest diplomatic asset. Later, in her office overlooking the council spires, Lisa reviewed messages from across human space. New initiatives were launching daily, with humans helping other species face challenges that once seemed impossible. Earth's children had found their place among the stars, not despite their origins on a Class 13 world, but because of them. The future stretched out before them, full of possibilities. Humanity had turned their greatest perceived weakness into their defining strength, and in doing so, had helped forge a more resilient galaxy for all species.